Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Davis here at home, and today we're going to focus our attention on text features again. However, we're going to be only focusing on the features of nonfiction books. We have done several studies and we've been comparing fiction and nonfiction, but today we're going to go a little bit deeper and add a few more text features that you will encounter when you are looking through and reading nonfiction books. So let's review. So far we've learned that nonfiction books are designed to teach. That's the purpose. They teach us true facts and give us information, and they contain photographs, and you can read a nonfiction book in any order because you're just learning facts. Now we're going to go forward in our study, and I'm going to add a few more text features that you might encounter when you are looking through nonfiction books, because sometimes a nonfiction book can be very busy. There's a lot going on the pages, and if you're not sure how to navigate all the information, you might miss some important facts. So let's get started going through our features that I feel like will be very helpful to you as you are not only reading nonfiction, but in the future, even writing nonfiction. All right, let's get started. Let me grab my posters. So the first feature I want to bring your attention to is table of contents. Now in the table of contents, and you have seen these before, you are going to find everything that is located in that book and the page. So that is a very helpful tool in a nonfiction book. You will also spy some headings. Now headings are like titles. And here's why a heading is really important in a nonfiction book. Say you're looking for something very specific on a topic. You can open up that book and find a heading, like this heading says all about fish. So if I was just wanting to find facts about fish, I could go right to this section in that nonfiction book and read that part of it. So headings are very important because they tell you what you're going to be reading in that part of the nonfiction book. Another nonfiction text feature is called a diagram. Now a diagram is a picture that shows the parts of an object or an animal, whatever the topic is. So this is a diagram of a microscope. You can see arrows pointing to the parts. That goes hand in hand with this next feature, label. Labels and diagrams go together because on the diagram you can see there's little arrows and then the names of each of the parts of that microscope. There's a label telling you what that part is. So with a diagram you will have labels to inform you. This is a fun one coming up. In nonfiction texts, you will often find a map. Now maps, of course, tell us different places, and since nonfiction books can be talking about real places, a map might be located in a nonfiction book to show you where that place is. Also, sometimes maps will be in a book to show you where an animal's habitat is. So you will spy sometimes maps in nonfiction books. That's a feature of a nonfiction. Another thing that you might encounter are charts and graphs. Now charts and graphs are placed into nonfiction texts to give you information. Usually they contain mathematical information about the topic, and they're organized ways to look at information that has to do with amounts or numbers. So if you got these little pie graph and a bar graph that can show you how much of something or how little, and they're easy to read if you understand what their purpose is and why they're in that nonfiction book. So charts and graphs. Now we have seen these before when we were in school. The index is located at the back of a book, and it will tell you what page you can find certain words on that topic. And of course, an index is in ABC order. So if you're looking for something that starts with an A, you go to the A section and then you slide over and you can see what page you can find that word on in that nonfiction text. Now, we have discussed previously that in a nonfiction book, you can not only find photographs, but also illustrations. So this shows you that in a nonfiction book, you could find both of these types of pictures. So there's that. Now this is one that's often ignored by readers, but it's so important when you're trying to navigate a nonfiction text, because sometimes very important information is found in very small ways. Yeah, I'm talking about a caption. A caption is where you'll have a picture or an illustration, and underneath it or around it are some words explaining what that picture is all about. Those words are really important. They give you additional information besides just what's written on the page. Often readers will just skip over those captions. Sometimes kids that are taking tests in the upper grades will have a question specifically on a picture in a caption, and they forgot to read that part and they got the answer wrong because they didn't realize how important information, pictures, and captions work together to give us more information. So do not ignore pictures and captions. They're very important and bring additional information. I like this one now. Timeline. Now we saw one of these when we were studying Dr. Seuss's life. A timeline has, of course, a line, and then it will have different dates located on it, and then different events that took place in, for instance, this is the life of George Washington, first president. Not every single event is located on his timeline here, just the very important events in his life. So you can just focus in on the date and what happened in that person's life at that time. So a timeline is a very helpful way to organize dates and times and information that go together in the course of someone's life. Timeline. And glossary, we're familiar with glossaries. We've seen these several times during the school year. A glossary is usually located at the back of the book. It will have words in the book that were important in alphabetical order, and it will tell you what that word means. So a glossary is very helpful and gives you more information about what you're reading. And then finally, this one is really important, keyword. Now a keyword is a word that you're going to see in a nonfiction text. It will either be bold, dark, or it will be slanted, it will be written in italics, or it will be written with a color. When you spy words in a nonfiction book that are different from the other print, you understand that those words are keywords. They're important to this information, this topic that you're reading. You should tune into those. So keywords will be different in size, shape, in even color. So tune into those keywords. Well, there are a few more nonfiction text features, but those were some of the biggies. And I like to just give you some information about how to spy for these text features, because you're going to be encountering a lot of books that are true fact books, and it's going to be helpful if you are aware of what everything is that's going on those pages. Now, let me pull a few of my nonfiction books that I have here. Some nonfiction books are very simple. They have not very many features in them, and some have lots of nonfiction text features. If we were at school, we would be having a book party. It would be a nonfiction book party. We would be browsing all of Mrs. Davis's nonfiction texts with the partner, and we would be spying for these features. I'm sad that we can't do that, but you can do that at your house, and I'm going to do it here at my house. Let me show you a few that I have brought with me. This one's a very simple nonfiction book. In this one, there's mostly just photographs. I think every page is just a simple picture, and then there's some information with those pictures. At the end, there are some illustrations with more facts. This one is a very simple nonfiction text. The next one that I have has a little bit more. It's a little more involved. It starts out with a table of contents. Ooh, look. I spy a keyword. It's bold. It lets me know that word is important to this book. It's a keyword because it's bold. Look, there is a label showing us where the grasshopper's antennas are. Some more keywords, photographs, of course. I'm just going to quickly browse. Some more bold words. If I go to the end of this book, there is a glossary telling you about what some words in this book mean, because, you know, when you're navigating nonfiction books, there are some factual pieces of information and words, science words sometimes, that maybe you're not that familiar with. So it's a chance for you to learn some new vocabulary, and you can find all that information in the glossary. I like this one too. It has a text feature that's new to nonfiction books. Recently, since we've gotten the internet in the last several years, now authors are even including websites that you can go to. So that is a new nonfiction text feature that is included in some nonfiction books, newer ones, of course. Now I'm going to go on to my science vocabulary reader. Now these are filled with nonfiction text features. So let's start browsing. Table of contents, chart, comparison chart. This many elephants weigh as much as that whale. There's a headline. That's important. This one has a text feature that we didn't talk about, a fast fact. And look, here's another chart. There's a diagram telling you all about this whale and its body parts. And look, there's a caption. It's the whale's name. Remember, everything on this page, there's a lot of information. So you have to navigate it, understand what you're seeing, understand how that text feature helps you learn, and then go in and read it all, because you'll learn a lot that way. Ooh, look, a keyword in red. And more keywords, more photographs. You've got headlines, you've got fast facts. There's a lot going on. Oh, I spy a map. This shows me how whales travel, and that's why it's in there. It's giving me specific information about how whales move. Very cool. And if you weren't careful, you might focus just on that map and miss this caption, which we know is very important. Then you've got a list. Sometimes they include lists in nonfiction books. more captions. There's a lot going on. So again, we're becoming experts on number one, finding our text features, knowing what they mean and how they help us learn, and then being able to read all of this information so that we can learn the most about our topic that we're studying. Okay, I'm going to go to the very back. In the back, there's a glossary. We know how important that is. And this one includes actually some comprehension questions. So that's some nonfiction books will include that. Wow, we have really got to dive into some new nonfiction text features today. Now, here's what I want you to do at your house. I've had my own little book party. I want you to grab your books and this time just focus in on those nonfiction books. If you don't have a good collection of nonfiction books, then by all means, head to your computer and check out Epic Books. You know, that online site that has thousands of books for kids to navigate? There are so many nonfiction choices. I want you to start exploring nonfiction books and spying for those features. Now, as we move forward, we're going to become really more and more experts on spying and using these nonfiction text features to help us not only read nonfiction books, but we're going to start writing. Yeah, we're going to incorporate some nonfiction writing pieces into our writing workshop time. And of course, if you're writing nonfiction and you're giving true facts, you're going to want to include some of these features that we have talked about today. So it's important for us to be very familiar with how they work and how we can use them in our writing. All right, you've got a book party to attend, so have fun, enjoy those nonfiction texts, and spy for those features. And as always, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.